Oh, hey buddy, it's your old pal Scott, and this is Let's Talk Tabletop. This is a little bit different than my normal talks because I generally cover wargaming and things like this. But the old HeroQuest board game is something that's beloved by millions. It was even brought back by popular demand a couple years ago. And I've wanted to love it so bad. I've wanted to love this game. I desperately have wanted to love it. I've tried it several times. And unfortunately, I don't. Let's dig into it. So for those of you who don't know what the HeroQuest board game is, it's a board game that came out, I believe, in the 90s, and it was republished by Avalon Hill a couple years ago. They've got a bunch of supplements, etc. It's basically a dungeon crawling board game. It comes with a bunch of missions in the box, and it can be played solo with some tweaks, but it's mostly like a game master versus the players sort of thing. And it's very well loved. You can search up HeroQuest online or on YouTube, and you will find a bajillion people making house rules, etc., etc. Inside this box is a bunch of stuff, okay? It's got over 70 miniatures in it, and of course it's got the game board, and it's got the furniture pieces, which are pretty iconic, and then it's got the different doors. Some are open, some are closed. So that you can slowly map out your place. Plus, it's got a bunch of tokens and other stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in here. And the miniatures are pretty high quality. I actually am a pretty big fan of the miniatures. They are board game quality. They're not quite the fidelity of like a Games Workshop Romantic or whatever. So, you know, as far as the price goes, over 70 miniatures for $100 or so is really not bad. So I am not trying to bash this game, not in the very least. Matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. I desperately, desperately want to love this game. I am suffering from anemoia, which is something where you have nostalgia for things that you never experienced. And I grew up in the 90s, and this was out in the 90s, and I don't remember ever being exposed to this game at all. Like, I didn't have board game friends, I didn't have any of that, so my family didn't play board games. So I don't know where I saw this, but I did eventually see it when I was much older in the 2000s or the 2010s, and I immediately fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this iconic artwork, where of course this is an updated version, but it's pretty much more or less a one-for-one of the original artwork. And it's just got so much character. It's got so much style. It's got a ton of cards in the box for different items and different like traps and different spells, and a lot of the parts of the game I do enjoy, such as the way that the board can be repurposed for any of the missions that you make up or the missions that are in the book. And I do like how it already tells the DM like where to put the enemies and the traps, etc., etc. And I know that a lot of people love this game. It's got a ton of fan-made rules, etc., etc. But despite really, really, really wanting to like this game, I tried it with my kids because I thought, oh, well, this would be great. We can play this with my kids. And my kids play Brutality. So I thought, well, this would be cool, right? And we played 2 missions of it, and they didn't really want to play any more missions. And to be honest with you, I didn't really want to play any more missions either. So fast forward like a year later, and I get the board game out because this sounds stupid. You know, I'm a game designer, so I love game design topics. So a lot of my YouTube is game designer stuff. So I will listen to all sorts of homebrew rules for HeroQuest, which is weird because I don't really like the game. But anyway, and it will get me nostalgic for HeroQuest again. So then I go back to HeroQuest, I open the box, and I play a game, and I'm just like, I just don't like this. Like, I want to like it so bad. So what really gets me is the combat is really pretty lame. There is very, very little strategy to the combat. And, I mean, of course, some of you might be highly offended by this, but it feels very random. And that sounds weird because it's a dice game. But, like, I can only move 2d6 inches or squares. Well, that sucks, because then I can only try to plan things, but I can't actually plan things because I can only move between 2 and 12 spaces, right? Now, obviously, On average, that's 7 spaces, and on average, 7 spaces is plenty in this game. But what if you roll 2? Well, that kind of sucks. I guess that increases the danger of it, but I don't like that. I think movement is one of the silliest things to hamper in a game. Essentially, it just slows the game down. That's why I hated it when it was in Warhammer, where they had difficult terrain and it halved your movement or whatever it did years and years and years ago. And I hated that because I'm like, you're just slowing the game down. You're not actually adding anything. So the movement really bothers me. But if you're unfamiliar with the game, you get a number of attack dice and you get a number of defense dice. And what that means is basically, like the Barbarian has 3 attack dice. So you roll 3 dice and there's a 50-50 chance of getting skulls. So 3 out of 6 are skulls. And 2 out of 6 are the white shields. And 1 out of 6 is the black shield. For every skull you roll to attack, the enemy gets a number of defense dice just like you do. They roll their defense dice for every black shield they get, which is only 1 out of 6 chance. It blocks the skull, etc., etc. And the same thing works against you. You have your own defense dice, whatever. It's just really random. It's not, there's no like modifiers. There's no like, oh, well, if I'm in the rear arc, I get this. There's no like buddy bonuses for a character if you got 2 characters in combat with this thing or whatever. And unfortunately, I'm coming from Brutality, where Brutality has rear arc bonuses. They have ally nearby bonuses. They have elevation bonuses. And I can completely create my characters however I wanted. So the game designer in me immediately, after playing a mission of this and just being completely not that interested, I immediately was like, how could I apply? Well, the Barbarian, if I wanted to, could just make him a basic melee. And the Ranger could be a basic ranged. And the Dwarf might be a melee, I guess. And the Wizard could be a support. And I'm just like, I start thinking about that. So I played a mission with the Brutality rules, and I liked it way more. But I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to play HeroQuest with my own rules, because I either like the board game or I don't. A lot of it just seems like there's no way to really impact it. Sure, there's some, items that give you extra attack dice, or they manipulate it in some way, give you a reroll or whatever. But by and large, there's really not much strategy in it. It's just the luck of the draw, and that's it. Whereas, like, it reminded me a lot of Sorry, where, you just rolling dice, and then there's almost no strategy to it, and then if you happen to land on someone, oh, I got you, sorry. It's just dumb. And I'm sorry to say that, because I'm hoping not to offend people. And I know, the funny thing is I know every game has its place, right? Every game, some people like the simple narrative, whatever, that comes with HeroQuest. And I appreciate that. I like that it's D&D light to the extreme, like extremely light D&D. I like that. That's a neat idea. But really, the combat is the main part of it, and it's just not interesting. It's not engaging in any way. And unfortunately, for a game that's mostly combat, I need it to be engaging. And yes, I know there's a million homebrew stuff, but why should I homebrew rules for a board game if the board game's not meeting my needs? Then I'll just go play another game, right? That's it. So unfortunately, despite the fact that I am in love with the multi-use dungeon layout, despite that I love the fact that it comes with terrain, like chairs and tables and bookshelves or whatnot, despite the fact that I love all the miniatures in it, despite the fact that I love the vibe, like the cards and the artwork and all that, I love it so much. It's got a real nostalgic feel. Despite the fact that I love the idea of having spell cards and item cards, etc., I'm just not that into it. And that sucks, because I really, really, really wanted to like it. And I just don't. So this thing is too heavy for it to be worth it to me to like sell on eBay and ship or whatever. It's a very hefty box. It's got a lot of stuff in it. So I guess it's just going to go to the charity raffle at Shorehammer, and you get free tickets when you get there. So you might just get it for free. If you want a free HeroQuest box at Shorehammer, it's complete. I've only played a couple missions with it, and that's it. So it's really upsetting, though. So If you love HeroQuest, tell me how to make the combat better, and I might change my mind, but in the meantime, I find it very unfulfilling. And that is a shame. I understand why some people would love this game. It's just not for me. I guess because I'm not coming from a board game background, I'm coming from a wargaming background. So, anyway, let me know what you think of HeroQuest. It is a definite classic, and I'm still just in love with it. Look at that box art. Absolutely in love with it. Oh well, though. I guess it wasn't meant to be. So, thank you to all of my beautiful, sexy, good-smelling Patreon patrons over here, especially Mr. Nate, and especially Fraudfishy Hates Everything. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for keeping the lights on, even though this shed looks kind of dim. I turn lights out, okay? It would be like super, super bleached out if I had all the background lights on and the overhead lights on. Trust me. And I am going to be 40 in about a week. You don't need to see all these wrinkles from overhead lighting, okay? Anyway, I will see you guys later, and thank you for liking, subscribing, etc., etc., and I'll see you next week.